The movie opens in Central Valley, California, 1915. 18 years after Dracula's death, and apparently his legacy is still making life miserable for everyone. A desperate woman stumbles through the scorching desert, probably wondering why she didn't pack more water for this particular journey. When a man on horseback appears, she waves him down like her life depends on it, which it literally does. But this Good Samaritan takes one look at her and rides off without so much as a good luck with that whole dying of thirst thing. Because nothing says heroic like leaving someone stranded in the desert. The woman continues her death march until she spots movement near some trees ahead. She approaches cautiously, which turns out to be about as effective as you'd expect when dealing with supernatural threats. A shadowy figure grabs her, and her scream echoes across the wasteland before cutting to an abrupt silence. So much for making it to the nearest town. Deep in this same hostile desert lives the Abraham family, who've apparently decided that isolation is the key to happiness. Dr. Abraham serves as the stern, emotionally unavailable patriarch, while his wife Mina brings warmth and care to their two sons, Max, a curious teenager, and Ruddy, his younger brother, who's equal parts inquisitive and terrified. Mina battles a mysterious illness that comes and goes like an unwelcome house guest, while Abraham maintains his home like a fortress, refusing entry to strangers and forbidding his children from socializing. Because nothing builds character in teenagers like complete social isolation. One evening, Abraham knocks on the bathroom door while Max is bathing, which is already awkward territory for any father-son conversation. "I need to talk to you, son," he announces. "They're back. The devils have returned, and I need your help to stop them." Max, probably wondering if this conversation could wait until he's fully clothed, agrees to face whatever supernatural nonsense his father is rambling about. That night, strange sounds from the basement jolt Max awake. He follows the noise downstairs and discovers his mother muttering to herself in a daze. They've come back, but this time they're stronger, more dangerous. Max gently suggests she needs rest, which is probably the most reasonable response anyone's had in this family for years. But before leaving, Mina reveals a buried secret. For years, she dreamed of having a daughter, a dream that never came true. The next morning, Abraham opens up to Max about his dark beliefs, asking if he's noticed anything strange about his mother lately. He reveals that back in London, Mina was attacked by something inhuman, something that infected her. That's why they fled to California, hoping to leave the darkness behind. "But I was wrong," Abraham admits with the kind of hindsight that comes a little too late to be useful. "Whatever we ran from has found us again, and your mother is in real danger." Later that day, a girl named Elsie arrives carrying her injured brother Eddie, who's managed to fracture multiple ribs while working in the fields. Abraham performs impromptu surgery right there in the house, because apparently desert isolation includes medical training. He advises Elsie to take Eddie to the hospital for proper care, which is probably what most people would have done in the first place. Meanwhile, Mina prepares breakfast and announces she's making blood pudding for the first time in years. Max raises an eyebrow, probably wondering if this is connected to all the supernatural drama plaguing their family. His suspicions prove justified when a starving bat swoops toward the house and attacks Mina without warning. She screams for Max to get away from her while he fights off the creature, eventually killing it and burying it in the woods like the world's most disturbing pet funeral. Ruddy confides in Max about his growing belief that their father's supernatural stories are actually real, claiming he's even heard sounds from the basement. Max remains skeptical, insisting such creatures don't exist, which puts him in the running for most oblivious teenager in a horror movie. His dismissive attitude does nothing to ease Ruddy's fears. The next day, Max escapes to the hills to play guitar and clear his head, while Elsie visits again with cookies, as thanks for helping her brother. Mina warns her about neighborhood dangers, though given their isolation, the biggest threat seems to be Abraham himself. That evening, Abraham assigns them math homework, leading to a heated exchange when Max struggles to focus. Mina intervenes and later apologizes for Abraham's harsh treatment, explaining that he's only trying to protect the family, an explanation that's wearing thin given recent events. Mina shares how she and Abraham once encountered supernatural beasts, admitting she still feels the cold fear of that experience. Later, Ruddy hears strange sounds from the woods, but Max claims he doesn't hear anything, maintaining his position as the family's resident skeptic. That night, Max has a vivid nightmare featuring a terrifying woman with blood on her mouth attacking him. He wakes to find his mother outside repeating strange words, seemingly lost in her own world. While chopping firewood, Max is startled when Mina appears nearby, crying out that they're not safe from the beasts. She collapses, and Abraham warns Max to keep his distance while handing him a container of fresh blood. Mina drinks it and begins to recover, though she starts spinning tales about creatures by the window. When Max moves to investigate, Abraham firmly pulls him away. The next morning, Ruddy teases Max about becoming the family cook while their mother remains unwell. After breakfast, the brothers venture into their father's forbidden office for the first time, because teenage curiosity always trumps parental warnings in situations like these. Inside, they discover strange objects scattered everywhere and find a hidden drawer that makes faint noises when opened. Suddenly, a woman appears, desperately crying for help, the same woman from the movie's opening scene. Abraham returns home at this moment and immediately kills her by slitting her throat while his sons watch in horror. This is probably not the kind of sex education most fathers provide, but Abraham has never been conventional. Abraham reveals that his sons must prepare for real work and leads them to a secret room filled with bodies covered in white sheets. He explains his past as a vampire hunter who's slain over 13 undead creatures, including their former leader. He hands Max a hammer and knife, forcing him to learn how to kill these creatures by making him strike the woman's throat. Max complies, which pleases Abraham, though Ruddy is disturbed by his brother's actions. When Abraham demands that Ruddy do the same, the younger boy refuses, leading to a violent confrontation where Abraham harshly strikes Max for defending his brother. Unable to endure their father's constant imprisonment, Max decides to leave the forest behind. Abraham challenges him. Where would you go? It's a fair question for someone who's been raised in complete isolation with no social skills or real-world experience. That afternoon, while both boys recognize that Mina's health is failing rapidly, Abraham stubbornly insists she'll recover, apparently believing that denial is a valid medical strategy. Max apologizes to Ruddy for doubting him earlier, though communication in this family has never been their strong suit. The next morning, Abraham apologizes to Max for his harsh treatment, admitting he'd been too forceful. Later, while riding his horse, Max meets Elsie again, and they introduce themselves properly. When she asks why his family lives in the wilderness, Max simply replies, "Because that's where our dad wants to be," which is probably the most honest explanation anyone's given in this entire story. Abraham discovers that Mina has gone to the afterlife and breaks down in tears like a giant baby over her body. After her funeral, Max dreams about his mother and notices a wound on her neck, suggesting she'd been a vampire too. He wakes to find Ruddy missing from his bed and discovers him in the garden, where he's smashed Max's guitar in frustration. Max promises he won't abandon his brother, admitting that their father isn't normal and his actions are hard to bear. It's refreshing to hear someone in this family finally acknowledge the obvious. That afternoon, a man named Arthur arrives at Abraham's house. Max recognizes him immediately. Arthur explains they were once neighbors in London, and he's known Max since childhood. He expresses condolences over Mina's death, then reveals the dark history he shares with Abraham. Arthur admits that he once killed his own wife under pressure from Abraham, crying out, "You turned me against Lucy." He begs Abraham to stop his dark deeds, but Abraham remains stubborn in his mission. Max overhears their heated exchange and watches Abraham angrily kicks Arthur out. Before leaving, Arthur asks if Abraham killed Mina, but Abraham refuses to answer, which is basically an admission of guilt in any rational person's book. Max confronts his father about the conversation, but instead of answering, Abraham hands him a book filled with sketches and notes about spirits and creatures he's supposedly killed over the years. Max doesn't believe any of it. To him, the people in those drawings look like innocent victims, and he finally sees his father for what he truly is: completely insane. Worse yet, he realizes his mother died because of Abraham's delusions. Without warning, Abraham attacks Max and slashes his hand, then locks him in the basement while taking Ruddy away for training. Max treats his wound and searches for an escape route, eventually breaking free and arming himself to end his father's madness once and for all. That night at a nearby camp, Elsie sits by a fire alone when she hears strange noises from the woods. She thinks it might be Henry, another camper, but Henry suddenly appears bleeding from a neck wound. Abraham has attacked him. Before Elsie can react, Abraham grabs her and drags her away, ignoring her screams. Max hears her cries and rushes toward the sound. Abraham orders Ruddy to slit Elsie's throat, but the young boy hesitates, finally questioning years of his father's twisted teachings. In a moment of defiance, Ruddy turns on Abraham and stabs him in the stomach, lashing out after years of pain and manipulation. Max arrives just in time to decapitate Abraham from behind, finally ending the nightmare and sending him to meet Dracula in hell. Elsie, shocked by everything she's witnessed, calls Max a murderer, but he tells her the truth. Abraham was the real monster all along. The next morning, Max and Ruddy pack their belongings and walk away from the house that held nothing but lies and trauma. From a distance, Elsie watches them disappear into the forest as they begin their journey toward whatever normal life they can build after surviving their father's madness. And with that, the movie comes to an end. If you enjoy our recap, please subscribe and like the video to support our channel. This is the Mad Recaps movie channel. Thanks for watching.